Welcome to episode number 28 of the VYPEU podcast. I'm Will Turboff, joined by Ella Hestand. We had a great week in week 4. Some out-of-district matchups, some in-district matchups to start off that portion of the year. But to start off this week, Katy in the Woodlands on VYPE Thursday Night Showdown. Ella, what did you see from that game?
You know, it was very defensive-driven. I think you had two of some of the best offenses in Houston with the Woodlands and Katy, but the fact that the score was held at 21-14 means that there is a very strong defensive effort on both teams, and they should both be committed on their efforts. But, you know, the junior running back from Katy, Seth Davis, he really kind of stole the show for Katy's offense with 2 touchdowns and over 200 rushing yards. And that's just, he was the player that the Woodlands just couldn't seem to stop and prevent from getting into the end zone, and he was just able to push through their offensive line and get into the deep field, and he is probably the reason that they won that game in the long run. But it was a very good matchup, and I think it was very good for the Woodlands to play this game because they're preparing themselves to be successful later on in the season, especially with their preseason schedule that they've had so far, you know, especially with them playing Bridgeland as well. They've definitely prepared themselves to be successful and potentially win their district and go deep into the playoffs because of how hard they've been working in the past 4 weeks.
Yeah, props to the Woodlands. I shouted them out a few days ago. To play Bridgeland and Katy in back-to-back weeks, and both those games be 1-possession games, and the game against Bridgeland, I believe, was 4 points. This one was 7. But did they bite off a little bit more than they could chew? They have a really good defense, but they have a really young offense. So, Ella, do you think maybe they scheduled too tough of opponents in the preseason, or is this going to prepare them more than anything else?
It's definitely going to prepare them. I think they might have scheduled a little bit more than they needed to, but in the long run, they've learned a lot from these games against Bridgeland and Katy and have learned how to play against some of the top teams in the area, and it just sets them up to perform very well in their district, win their district, go into playoffs, and potentially see these teams again.
Yeah, that district is going to be really interesting. The Willis is the team that comes to mind. Derek Lagway, who has looked incredible through the first few games. So that Woodlands-Willis game will be one to look out for. But on the other side of that, Katy. Katy has been seen as either the first or second best team in the Houston area all year, either behind North Shore, you know, some people are saying spring, like myself. But Katy has looked incredible this year. Seth Davis has exceeded all of our expectations somehow, despite what we saw in the playoffs last year. So, Ella, is Katy the team to beat in the Houston area right now?
I think for sure, especially with North Shore taking that unexpected loss. They've already been beat this preseason. Katy's still undefeated, so you definitely got every team that's going to play them is going to play their best with the hopes of taking them off their throne, you know. So I think right now them and Bridgeland are definitely the teams to beat, with Katy being more so, especially since they were last year's state champs. So I think whichever team could potentially take Katy out, they will be the complete king of the hill, you know. They are going to ride on that ecstasy, you know. They're going to enjoy that win. So, but they are definitely the team to beat and take down, and every team's going to try and do that when they play them.
Yeah, it seems like we've got about 5 teams that have kind of asserted their dominance coming into district play. I would say Bridgeland, Katy, Spring, Atascocita, and I would still probably put North Shore in there. Even though they took that loss, I got a chance to see them, and they're going to be just fine. Westfield is really good, and maybe even put Westfield in that conversation. So it's 5 or 6, and then just about everyone else. But there are some really good teams and a couple surprising undefeated teams through these first 4 weeks. And the 2 that I wanted to spotlight are Clear Falls and C.E. King. So Clear Falls was the team that gave us a little Cinderella story last year. They kept beating guys. They beat Strake Jesuit. It broke my heart. And they went all the way up until, I believe, Katie Taylor They might have gone a little bit further than that, but they finished third in their district last year. Clear Springs and Dickinson are in that district. Do you think that Clear Falls can maybe come into the playoffs this year, having won that district, or maybe finishing second?
There's definitely a high potential for them to do that. They are undefeated right now. They've played some great games, and I do believe that they're better than Clear Springs this year and are going to finish ahead of them. But Dickinson, in my opinion, had the harder preseason schedule compared to Clear Falls. They lost to very strong Katy and Bridgepoint teams, but it's definitely going to be a battle between those two for first, I think. And Clear Falls, with their motivation right now, they might actually end up going further in the playoffs than Dickinson will. But it's going to be a battle between those two teams for first, because I think Clear Springs will still make playoffs, but not in the second spot. They'll probably be third. But Clear Falls has a very high potential to win that district with how they're going right now. But they're going to have to face a Dickinson team who's played a couple of the best teams in Houston right now. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Dickinson looks really impressive. We talked to Donovan Green last week, who's, still very hyped up about this team. You lose to Katy and Ridgepoint. Those aren't exactly losses. You're going to beat basically everyone else. But Clear Falls shocked us. They came in and dominated Dawson in week 1, and they had a couple other wins. I believe Seven Lakes, who was a team that has also kind of surprised us this year. So, yeah, Clear Falls and Dickinson are playing each other this Friday. That's a game we'll predict later on, but that may well be the district championship on September 24th. We're looking really far ahead to playoffs, but I think those are the top two teams in that district. Clear Springs is a close third, though, and Sea King is the other one. I'm familiar with them. Got a chance to see them before the season. They've got some big boys over there, and man, do they have a great team. 4-0, but they're in what I call the best district in all of Texas. Atascocita, North Shore, Westbrook, and Summer Creek are all in that district. This is one we talked about on the first week of the show. Ella, where do you think the Sea King finishes after seeing them go 4-0 for what I believe is the first time in about 8 years?
I think right now they're probably sitting at third, and I think they're going to compete with Westbrook for that spot. You've got North Shore and Atascocita, who North Shore lost to Westfield. Atascocita just got their first loss to Denton Guyer, but they're the ones that took down Allen a couple of weeks ago. And those two are definitely going to be the top two teams so far that I've seen, even though CE King and Summer Creek are undefeated. Summer Creek has definitely had the easiest preseason schedule out of those teams. So I don't think you see that trend continuing, that I think with the start of district, they're going to get their losses in. And I will be shocked if they make the playoffs, even with the phenomenal Kelvin Bakes Jr., But I think the competition right now is Westbrook and CE King to see who ends up getting third and fourth to punch those tickets to playoffs.
Yeah, you want to talk about how different these records look. It's Summer Creek and Westbrook, because I believe Westbrook is either 2-2 or 1-3, but they've played a couple really tough games, and no shame to the teams that Summer Creek has played. But, when you schedule Decaney, who has had a tough start, and Conroe, and in even a HIC team in Westside, but Summer Creek has got some talent. They're putting up 74 points in a game against a 6A team. So I think they'll be in the mix. And I think CE King finishes third. And I kind of think it's a big gap between third and fourth. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that district between Atascocita and North Shore, because Atascocita looks really good. Denton Guyer will be a team that we see in mid-December. Gavin Session, Chase Sowell, Cam Dewberry, everyone knows. Atascocita's really good. CE King's really good. North Shore is back on track. We're not going to take any North Shore slander just because they lost one game for the first time in 2 years. So we'll see how that works out. But as we're on the topic of Westbrook, we kind of have a segue here, because one of their players, Bryce Anderson, is good friends with a friend of the show, Jalen Gilbo, from Port Arthur Memorial. Now, these two guys said they were a package deal at one point. Bryce Anderson, formerly committed to LSU, recently committed to Texas A&M. Although Jalen Gilbo is now crystal balled by our friend Nick Harris to go to UT. So, what do you think is going to happen with this whole Bryce Anderson, Jalen Gilbo scenario? Will they go to different schools? Will Gilbo go to A&M? Will Bryce Anderson flip back to UT? It's a really weird situation, Ella.
I think right now you're looking at the two of them going to different schools. You know, Gilbo's predicted to go to Texas, and then he's also got TCU in the running. And A&M right now I think is listed as his third school to be predicted. And you know, you've got Bryce Anderson there. And I think it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. But right now, I think those two guys are going to be separated and will actually probably end up facing each other when Texas moves to the SEC and playing A&M. So it'll be interesting. I think you'll get to see the two of them on rival teams with how it's looking out right now.
Yeah, you really never know. They could be playing on opposite sides of the ball. Bryce Anderson is being recruited as a defensive back, but he's looked really good at quarterback this year for Westbrook. And who knows? Maybe Connor Wigman's in the MLB by the time these guys are juniors or seniors. So there's going to be a lot of Houston, I think maybe you call the Southeast Texas Stars in the SEC in the next couple years. And another guy that we could see there is our guest this week, Jacoby Banks. So let's send it over to my interview with him. Now I am joined by Fort Bend Marshall quarterback out of the class of 2023, Jacoby Banks. Jacoby, I've gotten a chance to see you a couple times this season. Just last week when you beat a team 72-0. How you feeling so far?
I'm feeling real good. Everybody's flying around. The team's moving how it's supposed to do. Nobody's really being selfish right now. Everything's going great right now.
Yeah, you got a lot of stars on this team, and you sure are one of them. 3 offers so far: Marshall, Pitt, and Texas A&M. You got that Texas A&M offer just a couple days after that first game. But right now, you're wearing a University of Houston shirt. We talked about this a few days ago, but tell me about the connection between you and them right now.
I mean, I talk to them a lot. I talk to the coaching staff a lot. Ever since they released 2023 class to talk to coaches, like I've been talking to UH a lot. I talk to A&M a lot. I talk to Baylor a lot. I talk to Texas Tech a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we know those offers will just start coming in as the season goes by and even into the spring. You've got a pretty, well-known teammate that we'll talk about in a little bit, and I'm sure that's helping you out a little bit with those connections. So we'll get to that. But are there any dream offers that, if you got it at one point, would you take it on the spot?
Not necessarily on the spot, but I probably would heavily consider. I already got one that I'm definitely gonna heavily consider: Texas A&M, probably USC, what else? Probably Ole Miss, Oregon, schools like that, Arkansas, schools like that. Yeah. Definitely heavily consider.
Maybe an SEC boy in the future. We'll see.
Yeah.
You're playing quarterback right now, but a lot of people think that your future is at receiver. Do you have a preference? Have you talked to any of these colleges about potentially playing quarterback, or do all of them see you as a receiver?
I haven't talked to any schools about playing quarterback yet. I probably would. I really don't care where I play. I just want to play it doesn't matter if I'm playing special teams. I want to play slot. I can go to running back, quarterback. I can do everything. That's cool.
Well, you played a number of roles for Marshall last year. You played quarterback. You played receiver. And you even got some rushing yards. I was looking at the box score in a couple of the playoff games. So what was that like, kind of coming into each game not knowing what you were going to be able to do?
I mean, I had to just wait my turn. I don't usually wait a lot, but last year I had to wait. And I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning, but I feel like it helped me. It built me as a player. And I feel like I'm way better than what I was last year.
Yeah, and Roland Harvey was a starter last year for you guys. What's your relationship with him, and kind of how did he mentor you to step up this year?
Yeah, Rose, my dog, is my guy. He showed me a lot of things, just being calm under pressure, learning how to fire through it. He showed me a lot.
Yeah, and you come into this season, in the games that I've seen, there's the backups have come in, and the backup quarterback looks really good. But why do you think Coach Williams decided to start you to start off this season?
Probably because of my skill set, and I lead very well. Like I'm probably one of the best leaders on the team, and I do a good job at it. I pride myself on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear you're not the oldest guy. You're still a junior, and there's a lot of seniors on this team. But it seems like you're leading them out of the tunnel. You're the first guy out. So that's always great to see. And you've got quite the receiving core with Chris Marshall and Jaden Johnson, who transferred. What's that like to have two receivers that are just, wherever you need them to be, they're there. So,
They make everything so much easier playing quarterback. Like when you got guys like that, you don't really have to worry about it. Like you just get the ball in their hands, and they make the plays.
So right now, there's not even if you wanted to play wide receiver, there's not a lot of room because of those two guys.
Yeah.
If it comes out maybe next season when both of them will be gone, and we know that Jaden will be playing in Lafayette. Not quite sure about Chris right now. Would you be open to playing receiver, or maybe going back and forth with someone else at quarterback?
I'd be open to it, but I don't know if they'll do that. But I'd probably be open to it.
Well, we'll see. And you guys are having a lot of fun. I took a video of Chris Steven and Patterson the other day. You guys you're having so much fun on the sidelines. You're celebrating a lot. I mean, you're winning games by 72 points. What's Coach's approach to that? Because I know he doesn't want you guys to get too excited, but at some point you kind of have to when you're this good, right?
His approach, we be winning, but it's like we still make mistakes, and so a lot of mistakes that we make against teams like that aren't going to fly in the playoffs and on the road to state. So we got like a lot to fix even when we do win like that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were on a road to state last year, ended up taking a loss to Crosby late in the playoffs. What motivated you from that game to make sure the same outcome doesn't happen this year?
My motivation was I didn't play. Like it really fueled me a lot. But it pushed me to want to change, make a change because I ain't played the last time.
Yeah, and are there any teams that you're looking forward to? Probably not in the regular season. You guys will most likely handle the district play like we've seen already. But are there any teams that'll be deep in the playoffs that you're looking forward to playing to?
I'm really not looking forward to playing any of those teams. I'm just looking forward to winning. Whoever we play, I'm trying to handle my business like always.
Yeah, just looking forward to winning. And you've done it a lot already this season. So now that we're through about 4 weeks, how has your approach to the season kind of changed since the preseason? Because I know you had high expectations, but I don't know if they could be this high.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really pay attention to like people's expectations because, like my coach tell me a lot, the same people that applaud you will be the same people that'll bring you down. So like I feel like with the season, I just know everything it's easy right now, but it's always going to end up getting harder. So I'm just trying to keep my teammates' head on straight, keeping everybody focused on the main goal.
Well, Jacoby, it's always a pleasure to see you. Looking forward to talking to you soon, and the best of luck this season to you, man.
For sure. Thank you.
See you soon. Well, we want to thank Jacoby once again for coming on. He's always great to talk to, like I said, and hopefully we'll see him later on this season. And Ella, let's go ahead and finish out the week with some picks. Starting in these district matchups, we've got some good ones. North Shore versus Westbrook. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take North Shore. It doesn't matter that they've got a loss under their belt now. They're still a great team. And obviously, I think we're predicting them to come out first in their district between them and Atascocita. So I think they should not necessarily coast by, but this will be a good game and a good win for them to get with the start of district. Yeah,
I'm going to take them too. I got a chance to see North Shore in person for the first time last week. They're without some big stars, Chris Ross, who's committed to UT, and Denver Harris, VYPE cover star. And they still looked really good against a great Klein Oak team. So I don't think they'll have a problem against Westbrook. But like I said, I like Westbrook a lot. Manville and Hightower.
I'm going to take my guys from down the road. Manville we're in the same district as Shadow Creek, and I know that team pretty well. And They've got a great rushing game, a great offensive line. So I see them as winning this game, especially with their strong defense. You know, they've got Justin Medlock on the defense, and Hightower's a very good team, but I think Manville should win this district, so they should have this game.
This is going to be maybe the best game we see all week. Manville came in and had a really great game against Dickinson at the start of the season. And on the other side, the only team Hightower's lost to is the team that beat North Shore in Westfield. They did get blown out, but they've shut out their other two opponents. They didn't play last week. I think Manville wins this one, but it's going to be a really, really good game. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Hightower deep in the playoffs. The next one we have is Dickinson and Clear Falls.
You know, Clear Falls is 4-0 right now, but I'm actually going to take Dickinson with this one because while the record if you look at the record, you'd probably predict Clear Falls. But when you just look at the opponents that Dickinson has faced, where they've lost to Ridgepoint, Katy, I think that they're very well prepared for the start of district. So I'm going to take them, but I think it'll be close.
I'll tell you what, I do think that Dickinson is the more prepared team and maybe the more complete team. But I think that Clear Falls pulls it out here. They've got a lot of momentum, and they see themselves as underdogs, and I think they pull this one out. But those, like we said, will be the top two teams in the district. How about Cy-Fair and Stratford over there in that kind of CFISD and Memorial, that district?
I think Stratford's got this one. They've historically had a pretty good football team. You know, last year they performed really well, and this year they're starting out 3-0. So they're on track to win this game, and then probably place very high in their district. So I think you'll see them pull out this one over Cy-Fair.
Yeah, you want to talk about historically good teams. Cy-Fair won a state championship not too long ago, but they don't have the stars that they used to. They look good. We got a chance to see them at our photo shoot back in the preseason, but I'm going to take Stratford in this one. I think Stratford's a good story. They barely missed the playoffs last year, and I could see them, coming out of the district and maybe making some waves. Now we get a good one, and Ella, I'm going to hold you to this one. Strake Jesuit and Pearland.
You know, I really think it's a toss-up between the two. I don't know who to pick. Will you swear that they might pull this one out? And I want to believe you. Pearland's a very good team. You know, Jake Sock's a very good quarterback, and I feel like they're very well-rounded right now. So I think I might take Pearland on this one, but if Strike wins, congrats to them. And I know you're going to pick them, but I think it could honestly go either way, but I'm going to pick Pearland on this one.
Strike Jesuit to the house. All the way, no questions asked. Bryce Fusick is the savior right now. So, yes, Strike Jesuit will win this game, and they're going to surprise you, Ella, and they're going to surprise a whole lot of people. But I like Pearland. Tomball and Tomball Memorial.
This is going to be one of the best games this week, I think. Tomball is winning games. Tomball Memorial is winning games. Tomball Memorial is not necessarily the team that we know from past years, so it'll be interesting to see how they measure up against Tomball. But this is kind of like a rivalry game for them, so I think they might pull out all the stops to beat a very strong Tomball team. And, I think I can speak for Ashton, who he would pick in this scenario. So that's 2 picks for Tomball.
Well, let's just make it 3. Ashton is so hyped up about this Tomball team. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. But I think they're going to win this game. But Tomball Memorial did have a tough schedule to start out. But like you said, Ella, they're not the same team they were last year. They're not a team that's going to probably go as far, at least from what we've seen in the first few weeks. But Tomball could be, better than we thought they would be, even better than Ashton thought they would be. So that's going to do it. We were split on a couple of those. So in about a week, if you're here, I think maybe we can finally crown someone for winning these picks. And that will do it for episode number 28 of the VYPEU podcast. I'm Will Thurbaugh. Ella Hashdan was with me here today. What a great episode. Thanks for Jacoby Banks for coming on, and we will see you next week.